Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be solving LeetCode 238, product of array except self. So we're given an integer of array nums, and we want to return an array answer such that each index in answer is equal to the product of all the elements in nums except the nums at index I. So basically what this means is for this index, we're going to put 1 times 3 times 4. So every element except it is going to be there, the product of every element. So 1 times 3 times 4 is going to be 12. So we're going to put 12 here. Likewise, in this one, we're going to do 2 times 3 times 4, which is 24. And we're going to put that here. So right away, you may realize this, but you may also not realize this. It's actually really easy to solve this using the division operator. That's why we're banning it for this problem and we're not allowed to use it. The way the division operator would work is basically you would just multiply every number by itself. So 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, which would be 24. And then you'd basically, everything here would be 24. And then you just divide it by the number at each index. So 24 divided by 1, 24 divided by 2, 24 divided by 3. And as you can see, that is what it would become. But we're actually going to use a different method. We're actually going to use a prefix sum technique and a suffix sum technique. And we're going to have 2 iteration passes. This can be solved in linear time with constant extra space. So let's get into the explanation now. To solve this, we're going to have 2 loop passes. One is going to calculate the prefix sums inside of our result array, and the second pass is going to calculate our suffix sums inside of the result array. So this can be better understood with an example. So at our first iteration, we're going to calculate, so we're going to set the first element in our result array to what our current prefix is. So this is going to get set to 1, and then we're going to set our prefix to whatever it is multiplied by the current element in num. So 1 times 1, it's just going to stay 1. Then we're going to move this along, and we're going to see that our prefix is still 1, so we're going to set this to 1, and then we're going to multiply our prefix by our current element in nums, so it's going to become 2, and then we're going to move along, and we're going to set this to 2 because our prefix sum is currently 2. And we're going to set the prefix sum to 6. 3 times 2 is 6. And then we're going to move along and set this to the current prefix sum, which is 6. And now we're just going to set this to 6 times 4. So this becomes 24, but it doesn't matter because we're done. We don't even need this last value, but it's still going to calculate it anyway. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with the suffix, and we're going to use our current result. We're not going to make a new array. We're going to use the current result, and we're going to loop in reverse this time. So instead of setting it equal to the suffix this time, we're going to multiply the suffix by the current element in result. So this stays as 6, and then we're going to move. And before we go to the next one, our suffix becomes what our current suffix is multiplied by our current element in nums. So this becomes 4, and then we move along, and then this becomes 8. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 3 is 12, and then we move along, and then this becomes 1 times 12 is 12, and this becomes 2 times 12 is 24, and then we keep moving along, and this becomes 1 times 24 is 24, and this becomes 1 times 24 is also 24. And then we're done, and we can simply return our result array. The time complexity of this is going to be O of n, since we pass one pass from the prefix array and then one pass to the suffix array. So O of n plus n, so 2n, but we are going to knock off the constant, and we're only storing our result arrays, which doesn't count as extra memory, so we have constant extra memory. Let's get into our code now. So we're going to start off by initializing our result array, and we're going to set it to ones, and the length of it is going to be the same as nums. Basically what this does is it's just going to create an array with 4 elements that are all set to 1. Then we're going to initialize our prefix sum, which is going to start at 1. Then we're going to loop through the length of nums, and for every element in result, we're going to set it to our current prefix. And after that, we're going to update our prefix and set it to itself multiplied by the current element in nums. Now we're done with the prefix sum, and we're going to do the suffix sum. We're going to initialize it to 0, but instead of looping forwards, this time we're going to loop backwards in reverse, and we can do that by starting at the length of nums minus 1 and have a stop at -1 and step of -1. And at every iteration, we're going to set our result at that specific index and multiply it by the current suffix. And then we're going to update our suffix and multiply it by the current element in nums. And after that, we're done, and we can simply return our result. This should work. It worked, and as you can see, it's pretty efficient. It's going to run in linear time with constant extra space. Thanks for watching, guys.